The football tournament final is due in 3 days, and I have come down with high fever. The doctor says that a fever is only a symptom of a disease. I am normally quite fit, but I can't figure out which disease I could have got.
This lesson gives you a better understanding of diseases and why we get them. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to define health and disease, classify diseases, describe the causes of diseases, list the different infectious agents, explain the mode of entry of the microbes that decides the site of manifestation within an organ or tissue. Describe the effect of the microbe on the target organ and describe the disease AIDS. Health is defined as a state of physical, mental, and social well-being. Health is often affected by diseases. A disease is an unhealthy condition caused by microorganisms, improper diet, or it may be inherited. Disease literally means being uncomfortable. When you get a disease, the organ systems, such as the digestive system, stop functioning properly. This gives rise to symptoms like a headache, a cough, loose motions, or a wound with pus. However, these symptoms do not indicate what the disease is.
Okay, now I understand. But how do I know which disease is the cause of my fever? If I don't know, it will be difficult to treat it. Moreover, I have to get fit to participate in the final match. The team needs me.
Physicians diagnose the disease based on observed symptoms and clinical tests. Let's now look at the types of diseases. Diseases are classified based on prevalence, occurrence or spread, and duration. Epidemics are diseases based on prevalence. These are outbreak diseases that attack many people at the same time and spread very quickly.
I know about epidemics. A plague is an example of an epidemic.
Diseases are divided into two types based on its occurrence and spread: infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases. Infectious diseases are caused by microorganisms like bacteria, virus, fungi, and protozoa. These diseases spread from one person to another through air, water, food, physical contact, and insects. Hence, they are also called communicable diseases. Diseases like high blood pressure and some cancers caused by genetic abnormalities are examples of non-infectious diseases. These diseases are caused by nutritional deficiencies. They do not spread from one person to another. Hence, they are called non-communicable diseases. Here's the classification of diseases based on duration. Diseases that last for a short period are called acute diseases. The common cold that lasts for a few days is an example. Diseases that last for a lifetime are called chronic diseases. Elephantitis and diabetes are examples.
I have a bad cold too. That means I'm suffering from an acute disease now. The good thing is that it will last for only a few days.
Signs or symptoms give a definite indication of the presence of a particular disease. This baby has vomited quite a few times today. What could be the causes of this repeated vomiting?
Now let me think. The cause of vomiting could be a bacterial infection. Bacteria could have entered the baby's system through unclean drinking water.
So, lack of clean drinking water becomes a first-level cause of the disease. What else could be the causes of this disease?
The baby might not be well nourished.
Okay. So lack of good nourishment becomes a second-level cause of the disease.
The baby might also be genetically more likely to suffer from vomiting when exposed to such bacteria.
Good. Then, genetic abnormalities could be the third-level cause of the baby's disease.
Are there other disease-causing agents like bacteria?
Apart from bacteria, there are viruses, fungi, protozoa, and worms that cause diseases. These are called infectious agents. These agents absorb the digested food from the host and in turn cause diseases. Bacteria are unicellular organisms visible only under the microscope. Diseases caused by bacteria are typhoid, cholera, tuberculosis, and anthrax. Staphylococci bacteria cause acne or pimples on the skin. A virus is the smallest organism that can be seen through an electron microscope. Some examples of diseases caused by viruses are the common cold, influenza, dengue fever, and AIDS. Severe acute respiratory syndrome virus, or SARS virus, infects the human cell and releases new viruses that infect other cells nearby. Fungi are microscopic and multicellular organisms. Skin infections are commonly caused by fungi. Protozoa are parasitic organisms that can be seen only under the microscope. Protozoan organisms like Leishmania cause Kala-Hazar disease, manifested with fever and enlargement of the liver. Trypanosoma cause sleeping sickness, manifested with confusion, sleeping during the day, and staying awake during the night. Worms are macroscopic organisms that localize in the intestine of the host and cause diseases. Worms cause intestinal infections and lymphatic infections like elephantitis.
Do these infectious agents attack a specific part of the body?
Different infectious agents or microbes target different parts of the body. If microbes enter from the air via the nose, they localize in the lungs and cause tuberculosis. If microbes enter through food or water via the mouth, they stay in the gut lining and cause typhoid. If microbes enter the liver, like viruses do, they cause jaundice. Microbes that cause malaria enter through a mosquito bite, go into the liver, and later destroy the red blood cells. Let's see how the symptoms tell us all about the target organ infected. If the symptoms are cough and breathlessness, the lungs are the target. Jaundice is a symptom of the liver, which is also the target organ. If the symptoms are headache, vomiting, fits, or unconsciousness, the brain is the target. Let's look at a disease that has spread all over the world. AIDS was first recognized in the USA in 1981. AIDS is caused by a virus named Human Immunodeficiency Virus, or HIV. Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, or AIDS, is so called because the AIDS virus breaks down the body's immune cells and organs that comprise the immune system. As a result, the patient becomes susceptible to infections. The patient's body can no longer fight off minor infections like the common cold, which leads to major infections like pneumonia, diarrhea, with blood loss, etc. Hence, HIV or AIDS infected people die due to these major infections.
Mom, I am not feeling well. I have a cough and cold.
Oh, where did you catch it from? Do any of your friends have a cold? You might have got it from them.
At the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe how diseases are transmitted, list the principles of treatment, and list the principles of the prevention of diseases.
Mom, how exactly do infectious diseases spread?
Diseases spread through microbial organisms. Microbial organisms are transmitted from an infected person to a healthy person through direct contact: air, water, food, mosquitoes, and other animals. The chances of getting infected by airborne diseases depends on how close we are to the infected person. In closed areas, the droplet nuclei recirculate and pose a risk to all. Overcrowded and poorly ventilated housing is a main factor in the spread of airborne diseases like common cold, pneumonia, and tuberculosis. Diseases can also spread through water. When the excreta of animals and humans suffering from infectious diseases get mixed with drinking water, it becomes contaminated. This kind of water is not healthy for drinking. Cholera, for instance, is a waterborne disease. Close physical contact is another way of spreading diseases. Syphilis and AIDS are transmitted by sexual contact. However, these diseases are not transmitted through casual physical contact like a handshake or a hug.
Is sexual contact the only way of spreading AIDS?
Other than sexual contact, the AIDS virus is also transmitted from an infected mother to her child during pregnancy or through breastfeeding. It can also spread by transferring the blood of an infected person to a healthy person. Diseases also spread through animals. Some animals carry the infecting agents from a sick person to a healthy person. These animals are called vectors. The most common vectors are mosquitoes, dogs, etc. Female mosquitoes, for instance, act as vectors and transfer the microorganisms from one human to another. They need nutritious food in the form of blood to release eggs. So, these mosquitoes feed on warm-blooded animals like human beings. Animals like dogs and cats transfer the rabies virus when they bite human beings.
Mom, are there any common effects of infectious diseases?
The first common effect is that the body's immune system is activated in response to infection. The group of cells and organs that protect the body from foreign invaders is called the immune system. The second effect is the severity of the disease, which depends on the number of microorganisms in the body. The immune system is the main factor that decides the number of microorganisms in the body. The third effect is inflammation. An active immune system recruits many cells to the affected tissue to kill the infectious agents. This process is called inflammation. Some local effects are swelling and pain, and a general effect is fever, which is caused by inflammation.
How are infectious diseases treated?
There are two different ways to treat infectious diseases. The first is to reduce the effects of the disease, also called as symptom-based treatment, and the second way is to eliminate the cause of the disease.
Is a symptom-based treatment enough to get rid of an infectious disease?
Not completely. We have to eliminate the causative agents, namely microbes, from our body. The different types of microbes, like viruses, bacteria, fungi, or protozoa, have a particular biochemical life process, which is different from other groups. So we have to take medicine according to the type of microbe by which we are affected. For example, some bacteria make cell walls to protect themselves. The antibiotic penicillin blocks the cell wall synthesis. As a result, bacteria are unable to make cell walls and they die. Antiviral drugs are meant for treating viral diseases. Antiviral drugs are difficult to prepare as compared to antibacterial drugs because viruses are unique in the sense that they grow only inside the host and keep on changing their form during the different stages of life. Similarly, some drugs kill protozoa, such as the malarial parasite. There are some problems faced in the treatment of infectious diseases. The first is that once someone has a disease, their body functions are damaged and may never recover completely. Secondly, the treatment may take time to take effect. Finally, the infected person serves as the source from which the infection may spread to other people. This is why prevention of diseases is better than the cure.
Mom, how can we prevent infectious diseases?
Airborne microorganisms can be prevented by providing living conditions which are not overcrowded. Waterborne microorganisms can be prevented by providing clean drinking water. Vector-borne diseases can be prevented by keeping our surroundings clean. This will not allow mosquitoes to breed. Public hygiene is a basic step to prevent infectious diseases.
Mom, I have a doubt. One of my schoolmates was suffering from a cough and cold last week. Why weren't all the people around him getting the same infectious disease?
This happens because the immune system of our body is fighting against the microorganisms. The human body has some cells specialized in fighting with the microbes. These cells fight with the microbes as soon as it enters the body. If these cells are successful, we may not be infected by a disease. If the number of microbes can be controlled by immune cells, the symptoms of illness will be minor.
So, the chance to get an infectious disease depends on how efficient our immune system is.
Yes, proper and sufficient food is necessary for the immune system to work properly. Therefore, the second basic principle of prevention of infectious diseases is the availability of proper and sufficient food for everybody.
Mom, I have heard that a person who is infected by chickenpox won't get the disease again. Is that true?
That is correct. This happens because once we get an infection, our body cells react against it and remember it, particularly by producing memory cells. These memory cells exist in the body. So, when the same microbe enters our body next time, the memory cells fight it with more efficiency. This eliminates the infection faster than the first time.
Can we overcome diseases like chickenpox prior to its entry into the body?
There is the immunization process that prevents the growth of microbes and protects us. This is the third basic principle of prevention of infectious diseases. Immunization is the protection of individuals from communicable diseases by administration of a suspension of killed microorganisms. Let's see how the immunization came into existence. 100 years ago, smallpox epidemics were common throughout the world. People were scared of catching the disease from the patient. People who already suffered from the disease provided nursing care for the victims of smallpox as they were not likely to catch the disease again. We already know that if a person has smallpox once, there is very little chance of suffering from it again. Remember, I said this happens because when the immune system first encounters an infectious microbe, it responds against it and remembers it specifically by producing memory cells. However, you can prevent a virus like smallpox from infecting you the first time through vaccinations. In this process, foreign dead smallpox virus is injected into the body as a suspension. This is called a vaccine. The first vaccine was developed against smallpox by Edward Jenner, and smallpox was completely eradicated. So, Edward Jenner was called the father of immunology. There are many vaccines available that provide a means of prevention. There are vaccines against polio, whooping cough, tetanus, etc.